Hi everyone, it's Heidi from Flutter by Heidi. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the United Kingdom, and today I'm coming along with another one of my Poinsettia Place Sweet Inspiration projects, and this is about saying that you don't have to use the whole suite to make stunning cards. So if you love the DSP and the stamp set, this card is a fabulous one for you. So the stamp set itself, you can see here, Poinsettia Petals, has lovely sentiments that are absolutely fantastic for the Christmas season, but also include, you know, this holiday if you want a non-religious sentiment as well. And they are big stamps, you can see here, absolutely, you know, large stamps that make a real statement on any of your ones. And being photopolymer, they also line up, so you've got these images here you can see to colour in the holly leaves, and this one here can go in the centre of the poinsettias as well if you don't want to stamp them onto a cardstock or fill in the colour. Then there's this lovely detailed one as well. They do come with dies as well, which I haven't got. Oh yes, I have got. Oh no, I haven't got to hand right this second. Here we go. And you can see here, this one cuts out not only this lovely detailed poinsettia here, but it also cuts out one of the images on the stamp on the DSP as well. So on the one side of the DSP you've got these big poinsettias, and this one cuts out not all of them but one of them. It's this one here you can see, which is the same as the image on the paper, and the other ones can be cut out by hand, as you can see. And this is another reason why I actually don't chop my paper down into 6x4 or 6x6 sheets, because, you know, I'd lose some of those lovely flowers, but I do cut out those flowers, so I've already done that in advance. And you can see on the one side lovely floral images and sort of smaller images that are more detailed, more overall pattern on the reverse. We use this one for my big curved-topped gift box. Lovely sort of sprigs of berries, some super wood grain effect. You could use at any time of year here. Some more poinsettias, the kind of self-coloured green ones, and a lovely filigree and garden green. Some lovely old olive and bits of shaded spruce in there. And again, on the reverse, lovely garden green. And then my favourite one, which has got this hint of bumblebee in there, the real red. And then on the reverse some lovely old olive. So that's the paper that I'm going to use today to make this card with, and I'm not going to be using the dies, so I can pop. That's why they weren't kind of immediately to hand, because actually what we're going to do is this card here. So I've used the die cut image here, but I'm actually going to use one of my hand cut images as well. Lovely sentiment, and this is a fold flat card. You know me, I do like a fancy fold, and this one stands up perfectly. We go, it will stand up like so. You see on the side I've made it that little bit deeper than some people, but it folds flat to go in a standard envelope. And then on the back there you can just see I've used the poinsettia stamps to just add a little bit of interest on there, and I say real red and garden green, classic Christmas colours. So let's get started. Okay, so you're going to start off, you're going to need some real red cardstock, and you're going to want to cut a piece that is 10 by 28.5 centimetres, or even 10.5. I'll pop the dimensions in inches on my blog for you. If you want to pop along there, you'll find the link in the description bar below. So I'm going to cut that to 28.5. And then I'm going to score that at 14.5, at 18.5, at 23.5, and 27.5. So that's our card base. The next piece you're going to want to create is the front there. So this needs to be 15 by 7.5 centimetres. So I'm just going to cut that at 7.5 centimetres and to 15. And you're going to score that at 10 and 14 centimetres. So now we're going to get our DSP. So I want a couple of pieces of my main DSP. I've put mine all the way down because I rather liked being able to still see some of the pattern on the inside there, and it also made it simpler measurements. So this is 14 by 10 centimetres. So I'm just going to cut that at 10 and to 14. But if you wanted to be a bit more frugal, you could do it just on the top section as well. And then I'm going to want a piece as well for the front here. And this one is again by 10 centimetres and it's just 4.5 centimetres. So now you then want some contrast to go on the front panel. So I'm going to use this one here because I think it just goes well with any of the patterns, any of the colours, any of the green colours that we've got. So the DSP here is 7 by 9.5 and 7 by 3.5. So I'm going to just cut at 7 centimetres down the length because that still gives me a decent piece then, which has got the full 12 inches. So that's my 7, so I'm going to cut a piece at 9.5 and a piece at 3.5. So those are going to be for my front section. Okay, now last little bit that I'm going to be cutting is for our sentiment. So it's going to go on the green, so I'm going to use a bit of real red again. And for my real red, I just want a piece that's 6.5 by 4 centimetres. Like so. And then a little scrap of Whisper White, which is just 0.5 centimetre smaller than those. So at 3.5 centimetres, and then cut that just down to 6 centimetres. Okay, so that will layer on there. And then the last piece that we're going to want is a piece of card for the reverse. So you're going to want this one 10 by 14 centimetres. And that's just so you've got somewhere to write your message on the reverse. Okay, so pop our trimmer away, and I'm going to do my stamping first, so let's do my sentiment. So I'm going to use my real red ink here for both my sentiment and for decorating the back panel. And with this I'm just going to grab a scrap of paper just to protect my Stampin' Pierce mat, and just remind you I'm using my Stampin' Pierce mat because we're using photopolymer stamps. So I'm just going to add that lovely Poinsettia image to the corners, pop that to one side, and then I haven't done that one very straight at all, so I think I'm actually going to cut a fresh piece of card for that. And that's not least for because on the back I've added a bit of a smudge. So let's just cut a second piece, which is 6 by 3.5. See if I can do a slightly better job of lining it up this time. It's always the joys of stamping on camera that I can't get it right over the top of my image. There we go. That's better. Still not perfect, but hey, we're in a better layer. Right. So now let's get on with making our card. So we're going to add our sentiment. I use a bit of Stampin' Seal here to add that to our real red layer for the front. And while the card is flat, I'm going to add my layers of DSP as well. So what I've got is I've got my lovely pine cone image here, and then so let's add onto this section now. Just onto the front there. And this one is going to go onto the top here. Now obviously you can line this up if you want to, but don't worry too much about it. If you haven't, or you've cut it from a scrap, that's absolutely fine. And then if you look at this one here, it's actually, once you need to fold it, and it's going to go on this back piece, on the large back piece here. So as I've said, you know, it's going to be hidden, so if you wanted to cut that smaller, you could do. And my other piece is going onto this front section here, so it's going on the reverse of that piece. And again, you know, you could keep that blank or stamp on it if you wanted to. I rather like this sort of contrast effect that we've got there. Now I'm just going to reinforce the folds on these, and this is then going to glue like so. So this strip here is going to glue flat onto there. So I'm going to grab my Stampin' Seal Plus for this. Just make sure it just goes onto that back tab, and fold that nice and flat like so. Then we're going to reinforce the creases on our front panel. So again, it's remembering the glue to use. If it's going to move or it's got some movement to it, you need to use I would recommend your Stampin' Seal Plus. If it's not, if it's just flat, then just use your ordinary seal. So we're putting the glue on the front there, and we're going to put it on this tab here. And I'm just eyeballing that layer like so. And again, fold that under and add it to there. Now we can just use a couple of dimensionals on our sentiment. I'd have probably used 4 mini dimensionals if those had been immediately visible. And add this. And then while it's flat, I'm also going to add one of my hand cut sentiments, again on a dimensional, or 3. Oh, here's my mini ones. It adds a little bit to the depth of the card, so if you're worried about that, you could add these if you're popping it in the post and you didn't want to go up to that next sort of thicker large letter. And just decide. So all I need to do is just make sure that that is just tucked behind so that it still fits into our envelope. And if you wanted to, you could actually, looking at that, you could even flip those over the top, in fact, as well. There we go. All that's left is to add my image to the back. And looking at that, I've got a nice inky smut there. Opportunity for a little bit more stamping and embellishment. So I'm just going to add a little bit more there. more at the bottom. Make it look as if it was meant to be. You could always come in and colour that with a stamping blend if you wanted to as well. And then just use your seal. And just remember with the seal, it's just nice and gentle. You don't have to be too harsh with it. And just add that to the reverse of your card. And there we have a pair of lovely fold flat box front cards, whatever you call them. There they are, using the lovely Poinsettia petals stamp set, and a great fun card. And the lovely thing is they stand nice and straight. They're not going to flop over on anybody's mantelpiece or on anybody's windowsill. So thank you for watching. If you'd like to purchase any of the products you've seen today, just click on the description bar below and you'll find the links to all of them. Alternatively, pop along to my blog where you'll find the measurements as well, and there's links to all the products there in my Stampin' Up shop at heidismith.stampinup.net. Thank you for watching. Come back again soon. Bye.